sort of break it down like this.
Good morning and good gang. How are we today, kids?
Oh, good. Well, we're good.
All right, that's good. That's good. Frank, you sound much better today, by the way.
Oh, the mic is about 3 feet away from me.
Okay, you came out the gate hot last week, and we were just like, "Whoa, Frank is fired up!" And you're like, "You know, this is Star Trek. This is like, like, whoa!"
I really don't know why this mic is so hot. You know, it's like it's one of the old Meteor mics.
Oh yeah,
like the Sam.
It's a death metal mic. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what it is. You bought the death metal mic, bro. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about this week. Fallout hit Amazon. We've got a bunch of new comic stuff to talk about. There's a new X-Force lineup, NYX lineup. We learned more about Jed McKay's X-Men. We've got a new Joker trailer that I officially have no clue what's going to happen in this movie. Like, we knew it was a musical, but what the hell? We saw the Superman S. We got X-Men 97 hit its mid-season finale, and we got a trailer featuring, spoiler, Captain America's shield. So Marvel's just like, hey, I like that. And we'll talk about that in a little bit here, because that will roll nicely into our question of the week, where we're choosing our own X teams, like the X teams that we need. But back in the day,
Captain America appeared in the original series too,
yeah, he did. But I have a feeling it's going to be way more than that. I have a feeling we're going to get everybody. But let's start with Fallout. Who watched Fallout?
I watched the first episode this morning.
Damon, what'd you think? Okay,
episode.
question first, Damon. Did you play Fallout before?
Yes.
Okay.
I played several. I played Fallout 3. I've also played New Vegas and most of 4.
Nice.
So I know some stuff about the series.
So what do you think? What do you think so far?
So I was telling my wife about more or less what I was thinking. It's pretty much exactly as if it was one of the games.
Yeah.
It's essentially, you start off as, a vault dweller, and stuff happens, and sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes you just want to go by yourself. In this case, something really did happen in that first episode. And they had to go out, and there's, I don't want to say too much spoilery stuff, but
there's always some impetus for why the vault dweller has to leave the vault.
Right.
Exactly. And in this case, I don't want to say exactly how it happens, but it's pretty traumatic. And in fact, the main character has some real reason to want to leave the vault in this case.
It was surprisingly violent, I gotta say. Like, I didn't know they were going to go this, like, gory. Straight up gore.
I mean, the Fallout games are gory like that, too.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Dude, it's people exploding and limbs blowing off. What's all kinds of violence.
That's true.
That's true. To give you an idea, I mean, the very combat system, at least from Fallout 3, with the side put together, is literally you targeting body parts, and you can blow up the body parts.
Baby.
I never played. Yeah.
I mean, didn't you catch? Like, I've seen up through this and I've seen the first 2 episodes, and in the second episode, there is like a straight up like VATS slow mo.
Oh wow!
Crit shot. Like, I mean, they don't call out to it, right? But it's like you could tell, like, if this was your character and you shot a guy with a critical hit in VATS, like,
that's fun.
Where it slows down, you see it kind of a little cinematic. Yeah, like that happens in the second episode.
I haven't seen the second episode yet. I will say the most impressive thing in the first episode, Walter Goggins did those lasso tricks. Walter Goggins was really doing lasso tricks. And
Walton, like Sam Walton.
Yeah, because people called him out for it. They were like, "Ooh, the AI, that, whatever." And he was like, "Check this out," and he like did it like, and people, "Whoa, that's awesome!" That dude, he can do no wrong. I love it. JD,
what were you gonna say, JD?
I was gonna say I've never actually played the game. I have my knowledge of Fallout is that it exists, and basically
that is a fair statement. It does in fact exist.
It's post-nuclear with this kind of like retro futuristic 50s aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
That's the extent that I know of Fallout. So what is VATS?
So VATS is like, it's an acronym for something ridiculous in the context of the game, but it's like a...
Whoa, Damon knows what it is, Joe. What is it?
Because...
It's something variable, something attack targeting, something like that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, it stands for something in the context of the game, but to boil it down, because Fallout is an RPG, you have the option to trigger the VATS system, which allows you to like stop time
Vault?
or at least slow time way down.
It is Vault Tech assisted targeting system. There you go.
There it is. That's what I thought.
And then like target various parts of a target based on like your chance of hitting it. So like if you're attacking a robot and you're and your like tech and your mechanical spec or whatever is not super duper high, your chance to hit certain parts might be lower. Or if you're a certain type of gunfighter with that specializes in different sorts of weapons, then you might be able to like do headshots really well. And so it pops up this like little like you can highlight like the head or the arm, and it'll say like 97% chance.
Yeah. Sure.
Also, yeah, and the closer you are, like for example, if you're not using like a sniper rifle or something, obviously those critical hits go way up, like percentage wise. So if you have a sniper rifle, then sometimes it goes also way up if you're at a distance. So whatever, it's like that type of system. So,
but JD, the look and the feel of the show is perfect. It is perfect. Like we are now in a golden age where we have 2 video game, like 2 film adaptations that are actually good. And before this, there were 0. There were literally 0.
I don't know. I don't know if it's my lack of familiarity with the game or what. I liked the first episode, but I think I still have a little bit of Walking Dead fatigue, and it was for some reason it was really evoking like some Walking Dead remembrances to me.
I mean, I get in terms of like you can't trust other humans, like yes, that is part of the Fallout games as well, because it is a wasteland and people are out to survive. But
for sure,
right?
It's the aesthetic of it, though. Yeah,
right.
That's actually, it's not. It's also not downtrodden like Walking Dead tends to.
Not at all.
There is some horrific stuff that happens, but it's actually in a weird way kind of fun, like the environments when you.
It's very tongue in cheek, often.
Very much.
And Lucy is a goddamn ray of sunshine who just like refuses to let the world take her down.
The contrast of the Vault Dwellers up against the Wastelanders is always kind of like a high point, because so far as we've seen, as far as like playable characters in the Fallout games, Vault Dwellers are like innocent.
They don't know what's happening.
They have been raised with the idea that the vaults were built in like a retro futuristic like 1950s.
Well, they can watch the show and it'll spell it out. We don't need to tell them.
But I mean, but that's like they kind of grow up in this kind of retro futuristic Leave It to Beaver kind of situation.
I got that.
And then and then they're like, oh no, the world is out to murder me at every turn. And like, how do they deal with that? How do they react to that? How do they evolve?
Right. These are the people that lived under Australia in the Mad Max movies, basically, and had.
There you go.
Yeah,
sure.
So when you come out and they're eating and raping people, you're like, oh my god,
Yeah, pretty much.
But like, just for context, like the vaults were built in like whatever year. And then it's not until 200 years later that you see Vault Dwellers start to come out, or that we are aware of.
Well, JD watched the show too, so he knows.
Yeah. So it's like so much time has passed that they have like 0 context about the real world.
Right.
They have ideas and rumors and they hear stuff, but they don't know exactly how bad it is until they get.
I thought they nailed it, like the way that like. Even the way that when they were getting ready to open it and everything, they were like, "Oh my!"
The only thing it was missing was like a narration intro by Ron Perlman.
Oh, yes.
War why we didn't get a little introduction where he doesn't say "war never changes." Like I'll never understand why they didn't choose to.
They just should have started. That's the first line. Don't have to hire Ron Perlman for anything else. Just one line.
War never changes.
I mean,
Perlman, it's like the most famous thing about Fallout is that tagline from Ron Perlman from the commercials.
Yeah,
but also a really fun thing is like, well, the vault that my character's from, everything worked out fine up until a point.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in the other vaults? And there's always some insane story about like you find other vaults like where things went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Like in the first episode, it's like, oh, the Vault 32 was invaded by raiders.
Yep.
And
so one thing
Spoiler and Vault 33 and
All I was gonna say was,
I apologize, that was a spoiler.
yeah, I was about to say that actually was a spoiler.
yeah,
But
big
all
time.
I was gonna
that
say was,
ruins it.
this is not a this is not a
ruin
spoiler
it.
for the show. Yeah, well, this is not a spoiler for the show. This happens in the game, and I suspect they're gonna do as much. They always show the vaults. At least they showed the secret of the vaults. Is that they were actually doing many different social experiments, and in some cases, science experiments for some of the vaults. So some stuff go horrendous because of whatever the purpose of that particular vault is. In some cases, others are
and it's like ridiculous stuff. Like, well, Vault 112 is like just one guy and an army of chickens. You know, that's not a specific example, but it's ridiculous stuff like that, where it's like it's not all like people trying to rebuild a society. It's like, no,
I don't want to think about what he's doing to those chickens.
Right.
They do some things, I'm sure.
They're going to make you think about that in the show for sure.
Well, the good news is Amazon already renewed it for seasons 2 and 3, so we're going to get into it. So,
there's the Gary Vault is a fun little thing that you find in the games.
I'm really bitter about shows. I'm really bitter about shows getting renewed for a second season right now because I just got really invested in the show on Netflix, and it ended in a cliffhanger, and they've canceled it, and I'm really mad.
This is the show. This is the speed of new shows. This is how it works.
Yeah, Lockwood and Co.
I heard. Yes, I saw trailers for that. Actually, I was willing to check it out, but I guess I don't have much to be invested.
Don't need to now.
No, it's sad because it's really good,
man.
but
it's comic book rules now.
Too.
It's comic book rules now, where it's like you. I mean, if it's not a hit in the first issue, you're lucky if you get 6. You know, you are lucky.
And that show, it's really sad because that show's got a really, really cool premise, and it's set in an alternate world or alternate history where 50 years ago, like the ghosts started coming back en masse.
Oh, that's this show. Okay, I did. Yep. Yeah. All right.
And they started and they found out that what they call ghost touch. The touch of a ghost is immediately fatal.
Like what happened to Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters 1, where a ghost touched him on his dirty parts in the nighttime.
But he didn't die.
That was the opposite.
That's the opposite, Joe. That's the exact opposite of what happened.
Sorry. He experienced a little death. I think that's what they're called.
Right, a little death. Right, exactly. Right.
And
a pleasurable one, but nonetheless.
Only young people can sense and interact with spirits. So throughout all of England, there's these investigation firms completely employed by teenagers that some have sight, some
fun.
Some are listeners, things like that. And iron, salt, and silver are the only things that can defend against ghosts. So you just have these teams of teenagers running around with chains and rapiers.
Oh, fun.
That's fun.
And salt bombs.
But don't get attached because it's gone. So
yeah.
Thanks, Netflix. Yeah.
And
is it based on a novel or something?
It is. It's based off of a series of novels, which I'm probably going to read to get my story fixed. But
there you go.
Yeah, it was a really fun. It had a total BBC feel. It was kind of reminded me of Torchwood a little bit. But
I loved Torchwood.
Yeah, so I'm glad the shows that we're enjoying, like Fallout and stuff like that, and X-Men '97 have already been approved for more seasons. So
yeah.
Yes.
In other cancellation news, Star Wars Lower Decks. Or Star Trek Lower Decks. We're done. We're done.
But they had a run, though, right? Essentially,
5 seasons. This will be their 5th season.
Yeah, so
with their 5th season.
I mean, I get
That's
it.
about right.
It did its thing.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah. They just
That's
announced
the animated one, right?
Yeah, that's the animated one.
Yes.
Yep.
I think what they're doing, to be honest, is like the whole 5-year mission thing, and they're because when Next Generation went 7 seasons, every other show went 7 seasons, and then Enterprise only went 4 seasons. So that was it for that.
And we got 5 out of Discovery, right?
We got 5 out. We're getting 5 out of Discovery.
5 out of Discovery. Yeah.
So I think they're like, okay, well, 5 seasons is good enough.
Yeah. No, and that's fine.
we're in a streaming age now. Seasons are so far apart. They cost so much to develop, and every season is like a 6-hour movie.
Yeah.
And so it's it's a little different than like a show with 7 seasons, 26 episodes in each season, and maybe 10 of them matter.
Right. Yeah. It's the BBC model.
Yeah, I have a rule of. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say I have a rule about like just my own personal when I watch these shows. It's like usually, not all the while, but anything goes past 5, it normally starts going downhill really quick.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Supernatural is one of those.
Yeah, like Grey's Anatomy is older than people that are watching it right now. You know,
Grey's
like,
Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy turns old enough to drink.
Yeah.
This year.
Yep.
Yeah. Season 21.
Yeah. People aged out and died.
I feel like Supernatural kind of made a circle, though. They got to a point where they was.
I watched Supernatural for all 15 glorious seasons, and I have no regrets.
I did it too. I have a few regrets.
They got self-aware at a certain point and started like
leaning into it,
like playing with it and pulling full circle with it.
I like that. Like, I started rewatching it too, and it's a very, very slow rewatch.
Oh, yeah.
Like I haven't done it in months. But
I thought you meant how it slows down.
Well, but I mean my particular viewing schedule for it is very slow. But yeah, it does dip in quality, but there are still like some really great episodes in those lesser seasons. Like that fan fiction episode is probably one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
It's
hilarious.
Yeah, that right. The one where they get the Scooby-Doo one, right? The animated one, the one where they get transported to a world where Supernatural is just a TV show, and they inhabit Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, and they're total assholes. What's that, David?
Oh, what? I'm Polish now?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, like I love that show. But yes, I think any show that has a mythology, like X-Files style, Supernatural style, then it's the networks that are like, we got to keep this gravy train rolling.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you got Eric Kripke like, I planned for 5 seasons, dudes. So good luck. I'm out.
All I got. Yeah.
And so, you know, I think there's something to be said for getting out while you're on top.
Yeah.
In this new era of
I'm glad Kripke
television.
did too, because I don't think there's anybody else that should be playing Soldier Boy. He's so good. He's so good on the
no,
boy.
Eric Kripke was
the creator. Sorry. Jensen Ackles. Sorry. Jensen Ackles.
He's almost Ackles. Yes. Ackles
Jensen Ackles. Yeah. The show ended before Boys came out.
So good. That show.
You guys have heard of the old school TV theory of sevens, right?
No. Hit us.
Okay, so I was listening to an interview a long time ago with a guy who worked on Cheers, worked on Frasier, worked on all the old school shows back in the day.
Stephen Hill?
And what's that?
Was it Stephen Hill, the producer guy, or?
No, Ken Levine.
Okay.
And he said back in the day, they operated on the theory of sevens. In a normal season of TV, 22, 26, whatever it was. 7 episodes are going to be fantastic.
Okay.
7 episodes are going to be fine.
Yeah.
7 episodes are going to be dog crap.
Yeah.
Because they're on a schedule and they have to get them out. So that's why old school TV, Next Generation, Voyager, whatever, is wildly uneven, where there are high points in certain episodes and things that you can utterly skip.
Yeah.
I completely I feel the same way about Buffy, about, things that I
without a
live
doubt.
and die on.
Without a doubt.
But now TV operates on the BBC model.
Yeah.
We find a story we want to tell. We put it together in 6 or 8 or 10 or even 12 sometimes. We tell the story and then we come back when we have another story.
Yeah.
So you're saying 5 seasons versus 7 seasons, network versus streaming. It's apples and oranges to try and compare them all, because the financial model is completely different. The revenue model is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
The audience model is completely different. Back in the day, that was also the time when nothing would air from April through October.
Yeah, it was all reruns and sport and baseball. It was reruns and baseball. That was about it.
reruns baseball, and maybe a summer game show.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, that's the summer is when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a summer show to fill in the gap on prime time that networks like, we need to put something in here. 90210 was one of the first shows to launch
Fox,
original new episodes in the summer.
Fox did the first summer seasons, and everyone was just like, "What? You can't do that."
Yeah, I mean, it's in this prestige television in this. I keep saying in this era, but I mean it's true. Prestige television, which is what we have now. For the most part, the most popular shows are all streaming shows on things like Max and Prime and whatever. They cost so much to make.
We're not making television anymore. They're making movies that are broken up into
right.
episodes.
Like Rings of Power cost $1 billion to make.
Yeah. And because they're just making 10-hour movies.
And we're not going to see another season of Rings of Power for who knows how long.
And they're not making TV seasons. They're not making long movies. They're making Roots. They're making Shogun. They're making old TV
miniseries.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. And
the new Shogun is unstoppably good, by the way.
They still
so
make,
brutal.
they still make network television, and a lot of it, there's a lot of things out there that are really quite enjoyable, like the new Ghosts on CBS.
Well, sure, 30-minute comedies,
amazing. Like there's all kinds of great stuff on
NCIS
TV
will never die. There's like 15 of them. Somebody watches it.
Law and Order is on its like 38th season or something dumb like that.
Blue Bloods is probably still on somewhere. I don't know.
Like there have been enough Law and Order episodes that they could do some Marvel math and put out like Law and Order number 5,000 or something.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, it's a completely different world than the world we all grew up in, and so it sucks when we're like, oh man, the season's already over, or like Strange New Worlds only had like 10 episodes. I really could have used more.
The quality is so much better,
but you wouldn't have wanted more, I don't think.
Yeah, the quality is so much better. It's so much better. There's no argument.
I think that you wish there were more because it's so good.
That's how they get you.
But
yes,
if there were more, it wouldn't be so good.
True that.
Yeah,
Mosaic. Yeah. Mosaic. Todd Turner in the chat says, speaking of Supernatural, everybody on that show has such a huge fan base. Every single convention usually has either like the Supernatural car or at least one star from the show, and it's true. Even like minor characters still have like thriving.
Oh, I'm sure.
Convention
autograph lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And then he says, back in the day, we only had 3 channels plus PBS. Yes, I definitely remember those days as well.
All right, let's get back to new stuff real quick because
3, 6, 7, and Channel 12, which was public television.
We had some
Nebraska.
big stuff that came out this week. We got a Joker trailer that looks completely bonkers, and like, look, I will. I'm not going to apologize for that first movie. I thought it was fantastic. And I think this new one looks like it's going to be just as good and even more bonkers. I think it looks amazing so far. And we all knew it was going to be a musical or whatever, but not like this.
Look, I'll admit, I didn't see the first movie, but I'm totally dubious about it because I feel like the first movie already tread a fine line in enabling a bunch of toxic douchebags, and now it's on track to celebrate one of the most toxic relationships in fiction.
I don't think that's the movie's fault, though. Honestly, I mean, people can decide they want to glom onto something. It's
the movie's fault for looking at Joker and Harley Quinn and deciding, oh yes, an epic romance for the ages.
That's not what this is going to be.
You don't think so?
Nope. I do not. Not at all.
Some toxicity.
I think it's going.
I hope that you're right.
This is going to be a nightmare, Joe.
Yeah.
This is going to be a nightmare, and only just like the first movie, there's going to be whole swaths of this film that completely take place in his brain. I think. I don't.
This is true.
I don't
didn't even think about that.
I think we are seeing mad, insane fantasy that is not happening. And
I think the musical numbers certainly, I think, are going to be hallucinatory.
I think it looks amazing. I'm pumped.
I legitimately just don't need it.
That's fine.
I'm with you, JD. Like look, I don't begrudge anybody that genuinely enjoys the movie for what it is, but I think there's so much baggage tied up with that Joker movie. And I also like some of it is imagined by, the certain toxic fan base. Some of it is not. Like there's some messages in that movie that may not be so great. But as a piece of art, like I don't begrudge anybody that enjoys it. I just am not really that person. And so the Joker 2 trailer, it's like it's interesting. I'll probably watch it, but I'm not excited for it.
I'm pretty pumped.
If I watch it for anything, it's because I'm a really big Lady Gaga fan. So
that's also good.
She's a great actress. She's a really good actress in everything she's in.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, he was in that. What was that guy's name? Bradley Cooper movie. She was
Star is Born. Yeah, she was even good in that shitty Gucci movie. Like, and she was ridiculous.
Yeah.
House of Gucci.
Her accent was so bonkers.
She looked like every woman that my stepmother was friends with in Rhode Island in the 1990s.
Oh yeah,
It was about. I sent a picture to my brother, and he was like, "Oh God, it's like literally the same haircut that we experienced."
Gaga was great in those middle to later seasons of American Horror Story.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh yeah. I lost track.
Even
of
the worst. Okay, even the worst seasons of American Horror Story have been pretty good. Like I've always liked American Horror Story.
Yeah.
I've not seen Delicate yet, but it's like on my slate. I'm gonna watch that one next.
I saw a clip of it was actually a compilation of clips from the Graham Norton show, that British talk show host. I really like Graham Norton. He does great fun interviews, and the guests genuinely seem to enjoy themselves. But it was a compilation of Lady Gaga's appearances on Graham Norton, from like the moment she became famous, where it's like costumes everywhere I go and I talk weird and I'm so famous now, to like today where it's just like, yeah, my Inner New Jersey came out the other day when I was like stuck in traffic or whatever. And it's like that's the Lady Gaga that I like. I like modern day, like present day Lady Gaga, who's like had the fame.
Yeah, I like the headache.
Now kind of like settled back into some kind of like normal attitude about it.
I'm more of a headache medicine Lady Gaga guy. Like I really like those the prescription medicine she does.
All I was going to say about Gaga is that she actually had a pretty she's a real musician. Like if you see some of her early stuff, like she was hustling, man. She was.
She's enormously talented. Like I don't take anything. I'm not a huge fan of her music just because I'm not really a modern pop music kind of person. But she is enormously talented as a musician.
So next time on Lady Gaga cast, we'll get into that. Let's talk about the Superman S. We saw the Superman S this week. And
it's exactly what they showed us already.
It's the Kingdom.
Just like yellow and red, thank God, instead of
full on Kingdom
black and whatever. Yeah, they were going to go with
full on Kingdom Come-esque, though, right? That's the Kingdom Come-esque.
It's the Kingdom Come-esque sort of, except it's not black and red.
How does Joe feel about it? You're the one. What do you think?
I mean, it's not my choice. It's not my favorite decision.
Yeah, I don't love it.
As far as S's go, I like it better than the Man of Steel S.
Definitely
better than the Man of Steel S.
Yes.
And I mean, it's perhaps unfair to expect them to stay beholden to like some 80-year-old idea of a logo. Like I get it.
Yeah.
It's a fresh new take for a modern age. The most important thing is the tone of the movie and the characterization of everybody involved. That's what I care about the most.
For sure.
But the fact that it's sort of a more modernized S is fine. I'm glad that it's yellow and red and not black and red or some other dumb thing.
Are they going to do this? It's his Kryptonian symbol thing, and
I hope not, because that's stupid.
Yeah, that is dumb. It just happens to be an S. Although I will say,
I was gonna, it just said, just from that perspective, if it is the Kryptonian symbol, it doesn't look as much like an S. It looks,
at least this one looks like it could be something else.
That's what I was saying. It looks like it could be some kind of Kryptonian symbol. And Zod is running around with like a stylized Z, in the Zod book in DC right now on his shirt. So I mean, I don't know.
Right, but like Man of Steel Zod, his crest was some bonkers looking thing. It didn't look like a Z at all.
No.
So it's just like like family crest, sure. In the Silver Age comics, the Golden and Silver Age comics, primarily Silver Age, it was a giant sun. That was the crest of the House of El, was a giant yellow sun. It was the Richard Donner movies where it's like, let's put the S on Marlon Brando, and then that's what people ran with in later stories. John Byrne, I think, did it the best, where he Clark and Pa came up with the S. Ma designed the costume, and Clark and Pa designed the logo. It is an S because Lois called him Superman.
Yeah.
The S came after the article, and that's the way I prefer it. I think deciding it's a house symbol. Yeah. Sure,
Mark,
yeah, exactly like that.
For those of you who are watching along, Mark Stern just put a picture of the Nuclear Man from Superman 4 in the chat.
Oh, Lord. Oh, good Lord.
He had scary fingernails, too. Ooh.
Yeah. Deciding that it is a symbol of an alien house and not a letter.
Silly.
But still having it look like an S is dumb.
It's silly.
Conversely, it's also dumb for a guy to put his family crest on his shirt, where he's from an alien planet and no one has ever met him.
Well, I mean, like, he's trying to remember him or whatever, you know. I mean,
it's like if I put my mom's family's coat of arms on my uniform and walked around with it.
The Knights of the Round Table all did it. I mean, come on, man, you know.
Okay, I think we can all agree that was a different time.
I totally agree.
Also fictional.
Dave, we didn't get that.
Isn't that what's on every shield of every house in Game of Thrones?
Yes. Their family crest. Yeah.
It's true. And if we were riding out to battle, raising our standards high in the air, then that would be different.
Sure.
But we don't. So
I'm still excited.
This sounds like Captain Britain erasure, and I don't appreciate it. So, I will say that I like the color. I think the design is it's like the same problem that the Fantastic Four is going to have, where it is kind of lose-lose because you've got too much history and too many points of view of what people want and what it means to them. Like personally, I'm sorry, Joe. The Donner movie doesn't do much for me. Like I saw it as an adult and I was like, all right, it's really, it's so cute.
There's nothing
so much
wrong
like,
with this take.
Shucks, where it's not my thing.
There's nothing wrong with this take.
I mean, it was an adaptation of a different kind of Superman.
Sure.
And so it's of its time for sure.
But there's some interesting performances in it, but I don't know. It's the fact that like everything needs to be Christopher Reeves all the time for some people. Just it's like that was a movie from 50 years ago, and let's move on with our lives. Right. But it's like everything has to be Adam West.
No,
like everything has to be Adam West. You know what I mean? Like, but for somebody like that's their thing. So
that's true.
I think we have to have a
Matt and I know that guy. His name is Tom Nagy, and he. Every time he'd come in, he'd say,
not call people out.
Look at my,
I think
look at my replica Adam West mask.
Yeah, we're like, oh, neat, cool,
awesome. Very cool. But so I think they have. James Gunn is not. It is going to be like one of the most calculated decisions in the history of movie making because you need to do exactly the right thing, and you need to please as many people as possible. And I think. Having it look sort of familiar, but not too on the nose, and a little bit modern, but not too modern, like it's almost impossible. So I think they did a pretty good job of it. And again, I totally agree. It's going to the tone of everything is going to make a difference. And I think if Man of Steel had been a better movie, I think we'd feel differently about this means hope. Because it's not a bad idea. I mean, that was Mark Waid, right? Didn't he come up with that idea like in Birthright? Like it's a good concept.
Perhaps,
but that's a dog shit movie. So it's that's one of the most disappointing experiences I ever had in a movie, was sitting there watching that, followed only by Batman vs Superman, of like where I am sick to my stomach thinking, all I want this is to be good. I hate the Avengers movies.
The most upsetting parts of it was like there were moments that were legit. I was like, yeah, that's super. When he catches the plane at the baseball field and it's like, yeah, I was like, fuck yeah, Superman.
That is Superman Returns.
Oh, dude. Superman Returns. You're right. Yeah, sorry. God, Man of Steel was such garbage.
Even when he's in like the Arctic and he's thinking about his father, and he like looks up at the sun and it's like so bright and so clear, and he's got that like smile on his face, and he like flies for the first time, and like the real first time.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my, it's like chills. Like yes, this is exactly right. And then it's like,
well, and I liked right, and I liked him. You know, like where he was just wandering the earth trying to find himself, because that, you know, that's from modern interpretations as well. Like he finished college and then he disappeared. Clark Kent just falls off the grid.
Yeah, he traveled around, listening to a bunch of Soundgarden, like, walking town to town,
spending time in Nepal,
being all grungy,
on an oil rig, you know, whatever. And, like, I like that stuff.
Minnesota,
yeah,
absolutely,
right. Yeah. But yeah, like to Brian's point, like it's like that Superman it needs to be familiar, but not too familiar, and not too not familiar.
Yeah,
just like my brother and me, which was the tagline, the theme song of their podcast. But yeah, it's like it has to serve every master at the same time. You know, you've got to have guys like me love it, and guys that love Zack Snyder love it.
Yeah,
and people that only know Superman from like the Kingdom Come cartoon, you know, they need to love it.
Well, this is every time we see a bat suit, it's the same argument. Like, all right, let's completely 100%. Dissect this bat suit, you know. And I think I really like the way Reeves did that Batman, but it only works in the Batman world. Like, that's not my superhero Batman suit. And if we're gonna, when Gunn's, when Gunn gives us a superhero
James Gunn's
Batman's
gonna be much more of a superhero look.
Yeah, I hope it's blue and not black. I hope there's dark blue.
It's gonna be blue. It's gonna be black, but that's all right.
I know it's probably.
Well, they did in the Flash, the which again, not a great movie, but they
Affleck's costume,
it was gray and blue. Like it's exactly, it's like I'm watching it like, why couldn't they have done this? Like we have like 11 minutes of like an amazing Justice League movie. Like it's so cool, and he looks great, and the motorcycle and the costume, and he's a great Batman, and it's like, oh, okay, see you guys. Like, oh, we had it for a moment again.
Goodbye forever. This version of Batman.
There goes all the potential flushed down the toilet. Okay, I guess this isn't working. Yeah,
just in time for it to all be over. Yeah.
Reboot City.
So long, Martian Manhunter. Oh, and by the way, I've been here the whole time. Disguised as several people.
Like no one cares.
Anyway,
didn't really help out with anything because, you know.
So James Gunn has been posting on Instagram this week, and he's like, a Pez dispenser appeared on my director's chair today, and it was like a Superman Pez dispenser. And I was like, how funny, somebody left him a Pez dispenser. And then the next day it was like, there's another Pez dispenser, and it's Batman. And he's got the Batman one and the Superman one side by side on the Instagram post. And I'm like, is James Gunn fucking with people?
Yeah.
Is he teasing? Like, is he somehow subtly teasing that we might actually see the new DCU Batman in the Superman movie, even if only for 5 minutes or less? But then by the end of the week, it was like, here's every Pez dispenser, and it's like two Supermans, a Batman, a Wonder Woman. It's just like people were just like,
somebody just
I think it was just like people were literally just leaving random Pez dispensers.
We're reading too much into the posters on the wall.
It's like don't fall into that MCU shit again.
Yeah, don't do
it. We got clean from that. We got that monkey off our backs.
Yeah.
Let's not do it with the James Gunn stuff.
Stop. If you think you've broken that monkey, that monkey's hiding. The monkey.
I haven't, Brian. I haven't broken. I haven't got the monkey off my back.
Every conversation about the Fantastic Four from now until it comes out is going to be. Can you believe that weird space building is Mephisto? That's what we're looking at.
Oh, for sure. No, I mean, it's an industry on the internet now. People make a living doing this. So it started as a cottage industry, which is like a couple people are like, what was that? Did you see that? Let's blog about
well, we break down every
Yeah.
frame of the whatever trailer. It's like, okay. Well,
I do like watching Screen Crush, but there are many.
I'll watch
Every
the Screen
channel,
Crush one
every
because
other
I feel like that one just like gets it done. And the guy will be like, I think this one's probably horseshit, but we did see this. I'm like, thank you. Instead of the other people who are like, there it is. I told everybody.
100%. Yeah.
Shut up. God.
I think they should not be allowed until the movie comes out so we can actually see, rather than spreading misinformation. Because then you're like, wasn't this different? Like, no, somebody misinterpreted something in a 20-second trailer and told everyone this is what it was, and it was clickbaited for months.
Oh,
now we think that happened. Where these things should be banned until the movie is out, and then you can explain anything else.
No such thing as bad press, though. No such thing as bad press.
YouTube trailer videos, because every time I do, then my feed is completely inundated with fake trailers for the next 6 months.
Oh yeah.
And I have to
no.
That's the worst.
Like
it's like when you if you accidentally click on a sponsored video when you didn't mean to, or an ad or something, and it's just like next thing you know, it's like, oh no, now everything in my feed is something I don't want. Everything. Oh my god. I totally get that. The algorithm.
There was that Patton Oswalt joke
mistress.
about like when he started like using the Hulu DVR, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, want to watch this Western," and like the Hulu algorithm was like, "You must like horse thief," and so it just started like recording like, "Here's the horse show, and this is a rodeo. Like, do you like it?" And he's like, "That's very nice, thank you, but no, I don't want." You know? But I appreciate you trying, you know. Okay, we got a bunch
I know Matt hasn't seen episode 5 yet, but can we talk
X-Men 97? Let's do it. Let's talk. We got season 5. We've got our mid-season finale. We got a trailer for what's coming.
Spoilers.
Let's talk. Get into it.
Yeah. So, all right, I've got a hot take on X-Men 97, and bear with me. I do. This is going to seem extreme and derogatory at first, and I mean it to be completely respectful. X-Men 97 is 100% fan fiction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it is fan fiction in a way that legitimizes the idea of fan fiction and elevates it to an art form unknown to this day. But I mean, you know, we've said for a long time that, you know, anybody who writes a character that's been around for 60 years is to some degree or another fan fiction. But we are now to the point where we're, you know, like there's been so much time since the original cartoon till now. These creators are fans. They are the ones that watched this growing up, and they are also going back and retelling story. And the way they are incorporating real life and then merging existing stories into one thing. The way this combines Genosha with the Hellfire Gala and Krakoa and
ridiculous.
All this stuff that happened.
15 minutes of life-death. Literally 15 minutes. Like, bam, there you go.
There's more than 15 minutes, to be fair. That's
okay.
Part one. Yeah.
But like we did the whole Mojo verse in the first 15. They're like, but you're 100% right. And that's what I hated about the old show was they weren't celebrating it. They were just retelling some of those stories and crushing it into this and doing it with shitty animation.
I have another take on that, by the way.
Go, Damon, go.
But continue. I was going to say, just as someone who was watching it at the time. One thing
today, what they're doing now is celebrating it and having fun with it. And like, you can see like what JD, you were saying, these creators love this stuff. Here's all the best parts and the flashy shit and the fun, go. Whereas the old X-Men cartoons, like, we gotta crank out 64 of these things. Like, come on, keep firing, assholes. You know?
They definitely have the benefit of a streaming schedule.
Yes.
Of money, and also just more sophisticated storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a better understanding of the audience now, and the fact that like the minute we finished with episode 5, you know, we turned it off. My wife was like, "That was not for kids."
I think it's clear at this point that
it's for the old dudes.
It's not for little kids anymore.
Damon,
well, I mean,
what were you gonna
the
say,
Goblin Queen episode was like that too, where I like the Goblin Queen episode. I was like, oh god, this is like super intense.
Yeah, and straight up racy. Yeah. You say sexy, I say racy. Tomato, tomato. You know?
I mean, I said it on the Discord at the time, but if that episode had come out when I was 12, I would have been an X-Men fan way earlier.
Oh, easy. Jeez.
I'm just saying.
Don't take us into the bathroom with you. God.
I'm just saying it would have awakened some things in a young Joe Patrick.
Hey. God.
Joe would have gone blind. Yeah.
Holy water in my eyes.
But I mean, the episode, the Trial of Magneto episode, where he addresses the UN, was very serious and very mature. This episode in particular, where it was like a celebration of life and of of the mutant race and the original, and then obviously it all goes tragically wrong, and then the original showrunner who was fired broke his silence. He reactivated his Twitter account to share like now that this episode has aired. This is what my thought process was when we were planning it, and this was the pitch. Yeah, like this episode was the pitch to Marvel.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and is a lot of people are thinking of. I think there was some discussion in Discord this week about it. About how so much has changed since 9/11, right? And the sort of stories that we need to tell have changed, and the amount of life that we've all lived. Yes, it's only been 30 years or 20 plus years since 9/11, but it's more than that in terms of the amount of life that of things we've all gone through, and especially people from marginalized communities.
We've all been counting our birthdays and dog years.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sure, I mean, and that's not even counting in like the COVID years, which felt like a decade. Yeah, but like this guy, the guy who is an openly gay man, he said like, I came up with this, like I planned this episode in the wake of like the Pulse nightclub massacre.
Yep. He did.
Because like this is the sort of specter that my community was living under. And it's like, it comes through so clearly, the creator's point of view.
This is exactly why I can't watch this woke bullshit, and I don't know why you guys like it. They are sinners, the mutants are all sinners too. Like this.
Get your Bible out.
And he also did say stuff like, if you don't think of that, I put Great Gambit in that pink crop top. Just
they know what they're doing.
You're not paying any
exactly what he's doing. But it's not weird. The guy that's like, no, where's my macho Gambit? I would argue, okay, yeah.
Gambit has never been.
Where is your macho Gambit?
Never.
Go get him.
Where is your macho
king, man?
Go find him.
He's macho. He's macho. Like just like the macho man that the Village People say.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, the one thing about Bill DeMaio also, he said in that exact same statement, back to the Pulse, it's not just that he was looking at it from an outside view. He used to go to that club. That was
Oh, wow.
From Miami. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
So he knew people who died. Clearly, I mean, he didn't say it in the statement, but it's presumably like he lost friends, and people he knew there, and it's probably the trauma of it is kind of what came through. And I can tell just now in retrospect, since that statement came out, what he was trying to convey in episode 5. Things don't always have happy endings. And I think that's what he's trying to point out right now.
Yeah, and I think that's
he even said that statement that he's like, they looked at Pulses, that was their safe space. That was their place to celebrate themselves, celebrate life, and they felt safe there. And that's what they had with Genosha's. That was their safe place. They felt safe until they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That part where Magneto even told, remember, he promised Leech. He said, go to Genosha and you'll be safe. And then it's just like when he looked down, when he, that giant, whatever, the Triborg Sentinel was about to like extinguish them. He looked down at Leech.
Oh,
and then he's just
and he said, "I'm sorry" in German.
Yeah, and then he says, "Don't be afraid." And
don't be afraid, right? Yeah, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great. Like, they're not insulting the viewer. The old cartoon, I'm not saying it went out of its way to insult the viewer, but they're like, we're making a cartoon for kids. Who cares? This one, they said, we're making a cartoon.
Well, they
they
were back then.
Yeah.
Right. There were no stakes. Like, they didn't have to convey any messages, really.
Okay, I have a take on this because I was heavily invested in that show. I probably was the target demographic back then. Two things it did for me. There were some messages in the sense that they were talking about in the most basic of terms, because
like tolerance and
it was exactly, that's what it was. But on the other side, like from the comic books, and I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for anyone else. Seeing those stories, and I knew even back then that they were kind of abbreviated. I sought out issues of things that were happening, like the Phoenix Saga, things like that. And it kind of hooked me onto comics. So I'm just speaking for myself.
Hey,
because I know that
I think that cartoon probably
then it did its job.
I think that cartoon is probably responsible for a whole generation of comic readers.
Absolutely, no doubt. I was just a little too old. I was doing my first stretch in prison for a carjacking that went bad, so I watched it there. At a different, different angle for me, But
that cartoon and Batman animated are absolutely what got me into reading comics.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, Matt and I were already too far gone at that time.
Literally, Spider-Man and his amazing friends. X-Men. Spider-Man and his amazing friends is what got me into reading comics.
It worked back then too.
Yeah, had to be, and the Incredible Hulk cartoon. I was just like, oh my god.
For me, it was the Secret Wars action figures and the DC Power figures.
Superpowers. Yeah,
dude.
Superpowers with the Flash that if you squeezed his arms, his legs kicked.
He ran his arms like. So
I think
I had that one too.
This dovetails nicely into the question of the week. We got to see like a bunch of the new X-Force, NYX lineups. Got a little more information on Jed McKay's X-Men, where it sounds like Cyclops is going to be bad guy again.
That cover.
He's back on that. Magneto was right stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get off of X-Men 97, did everyone catch the Watcher's silhouette in the sky?
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Watcher was outlined in the stars above Genosha right before the massacre. Yeah.
So are they going to go full bonkers with this? Like, because we still, like in the trailer, you see Captain America's shield, and we know Cap showed up on the old show, sure. But for some reason, they kept like the Spider-Man cartoon and the X-Men cartoon very separate back in the day. Are they going to just go full on Marvel Universe?
This is going to be in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't think that's true.
I don't know. I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so.
I think that's a rumor, a popular rumor right now, but I don't think that this is going to count towards the MCU. I mean, maybe in the sense that like it has a world in the multiverse.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
Maybe. Okay. But I'm like, are they going to go full Marvel Comics is what I'm saying. Like, is Daredevil going to show up? Like, do we get the Hulk at some point? And are the Avengers
I just
coming?
want to point that out just real quick about the 90s series, because I remember these episodes. Spider-Man for sure existed in the world of the X-Men.
Yeah, no, they did a crossover. Sure.
Yeah. They did, and they had the Secret Wars, which was abbreviated, but also they did Secret Wars.
Yeah, very.
So they had, so there are heroes running around, including Cap.
I'm all for them leaning into
what
it.
The context is here, but
I want Cloak and Dagger to show up on X-Men 97. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, I don't think they're going to go too far with the guests. Like, I think they're going to be some guest stars, but I also think they're not going to deviate too much from the X-Men as being, what I mean? It's not X-Men and they're amazing friends. Like, I don't think that's
right.
Consider we only have 10 episodes and we've already seen 5. So
we've got 3 seasons.
I don't think there's time to get too nuts.
There's 3 seasons coming.
Yeah, there's 3 seasons. So we're looking at 25 more.
I mean this season.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make this as the canon for the X-Men for whatever MCU incarnation we see, because they're going deep bench on things and screwing up timeline.
Yeah.
Because we saw in this episode Pixie and Glob Herman and a lot of the younger class of X-Men in Genosha in 97 already as teenagers.
Yeah. Even Nature Girl was in it.
I mean, Nature Girl. But I mean, like, Some of that, though, I chalk up to like, well, it is already an abbreviated version of the cartoon's lengthy continuity. So I'm not really been out of shape with like Pixie being a teenager at the same time that Jubilee is, turning 18 or whatever.
For the show, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, for the show. For the show.
So according to the Marvel Handbook, the animated universe is Earth 92131.
Great.
So it is part of the multiverse.
All right.
There you have it.
It all counts.
Except for the fact that the MCU and the comics can't seem to agree on which one is actually 616. 616. But
that bothers me a little.
Yeah. As Iman Vellani has actually said in her own interviews, no, they keep saying it's 616, except our universe is 199999. So like she is such a
wasn't it
Wasn't
it Doctor? It was Doctor Strange 2 that said it was 616, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
no, they mentioned something.
Loki, I think.
No, it was Loki. Loki specifically said
Loki.
Yeah, Loki.
616 adjacent.
They said we had an incident with a Kang in 616 adjacent, which was
the quantum realm. Yeah,
right.
The quantum realm. But they've also, I think, in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they actually did mention 616 again as well. Except Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, has said, like, no, ours isn't 616, ours is 19999.
Yeah, she's a super fan, and she knows, and she keeps calling Kevin Feige out every time that there's a continuity error.
Absolutely.
And she's like, Kevin, we got this wrong. And Kevin's like, Iman,
put her in charge. Put her in charge. I'm saying
what we say is what's correct.
You're fired,
don't
Kevin.
Worry about it.
Put her in charge.
She needs to start showing up in a baseball cap, and they'll start.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, one last thing before we move on. Frank wants to pour one out, so that we can pour one out for Gambit. Let's recognize that this was hands down Gambit's best moment.
He'll be back. Relax.
People are already saying
travel.
I mean, possible.
Yeah,
we've got Chekhov's time traveler in
Cable's here. Yeah, give me a break.
Cable's literally in it.
I have a theory. Yeah, I have a theory.
But
yeah,
go ahead, Damon.
Okay. All I was going to say is that I think this is not going to all be nicely bowed, and this is not everybody's going to be back. I have a weird feeling Magneto's going to be back before the end of the season, one way or the other.
Oh, for sure.
One my wife and I were talking about was like, okay, this might be the moment where Magneto's like, holy shit, Charles, I tried, but I'm sorry. I just got to do things the way that maybe Cyclops might even be kind of okay with that. The other part is if they bring back people with the time travel thing, I just think Gambit is just, especially the way Abu DeMaio said, I just think he's the guy, man. He's the guy that's not going to come back. Because at least for a while, because he's a symbol of what's happening.
I think that
they save people, but he may not be one of them who ends up getting saved.
He might end up dying again. That's very possible. But
possible. Yeah.
I think that I agree, Damon, that there might be some shenanigans, and we might see some resurrections or some rebooting or whatever. But I think that the showrunner was trying to say something so important to himself and to the world, and it was such an emotionally charged, very poignant episode that to just hand wave it away, I think, is a mistake. And I don't think it's going to get undone. I think some characters might find their way back, but I don't think it's going to be undone.
I think he comes back. Not in Genosha.
Magneto, we could definitely see Magneto back. Because one, I mean, when it comes to bad pennies, it's pretty much him and Jean.
Yeah.
In the X-Men universe, but and also with Magneto, we never saw a body. We have a body for Gambit.
Fair.
I have a theory.
We don't have a body for Magneto.
I have a theory about that example if they go that route, and this is why I think it might even trigger Magneto to just say "fuck this," just dream stuff that Charles had. I could see him trying to save, and he may have survived, but Leech and the others don't. And then he's just like,
Then we have a horror moment.
Yeah. They coming back for us.
He's in the.
The Sentinel, the Master Mold said Omega level threat eliminated. Leech is in there. Reach activated his powers, and then the Sentinel no longer read Magneto because Magneto had no powers.
Oh,
well, then Magneto would have been disintegrated by the Mega Sentinel if he
he's going to be walking around, not knowing what's going on, calling himself Joseph, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh my God!"
I mean, we can do this all day. Or Magneto. We find that Magneto survived, and he is in the hover chair now because he's all messed up, and that's now he's Professor M.
There you go.
Or episode 6 opens on Krakoa, and they rebirth him right there, and we're just in the Hickman age.
Gold balls.
John in the Discord, John said Hugo thinks that Gold Balls is going to be in.
Damn right.
It's like, God, I hope so.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for 1997 with Maggot and Marrow and Joseph and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, dude.
Bring it.
They need to bring it to me.
I love Maggot.
Bring it to me.
I love Marrow.
I do not love Marrow. I'm not a Marrow fan, but I did love calling her the Boner, which I think was a much better code name for Marrow.
I mean, that's kind of what her powers was.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
She was the Boner. All right, it's 12 o'clock. I got to get out of here. I wanted to talk about our question of the week, but we've got a really good discussion of our X teams. Like if you're doing your own X-Men draft, the Brevoort stuff. The more that I see about it, I guess I'm interested, but cautiously optimistic. I don't know.
That cover is so weird, though.
That cover's weird.
Cyclops team.
And I love Stegman. I love Ryan Stegman.
It's an interesting drawing.
I almost think kind Stegman's leaning into his 90s roots more than ever with that cover. And it's kind of like, okay.
Mark said something hilarious yesterday where he's like, I see we're following the Rob Liefeld school of layouts, like obscure feet at all costs.
It's very Liefeld X-Force.
It's like, look, I know that Ryan Stegman can draw feet, but that's fucking funny.
It is. No, it's funny as hell.
And that cover, who's the body at the bottom?
I don't know.
I think that was just somebody that they were protecting. Somebody that was being attacked, and the X-Men show up to defend him.
Hey, that's some more lost to you, right? Yeah, in his extremist days, he used to find a random mutant and says, "We're here to protect you," and
sure,
beat the shit out of whoever else that's around him.
Right. But we all agree we don't know who Tank is. Nobody knows who Tank is.
Oh, in
X-Force.
In X-Force, yeah, Tank. There was we discovered that there was a character that appeared in what book was it? I forget.
Ironheart,
right. There was a mutant character named Tank that appeared in the Ironheart book, but he dies in that issue, and the character looks totally different. This is like a red-looking metal guy.
So this can't be the same character.
So my thinking is that it is a brand new character with a very good superhero name that I'm stunned we haven't seen before.
Time out. Brian, say that again.
Maybe it's Box from Alpha Flight.
Maybe it's Madison Jeffries. Maybe it's Madison Jeffries.
I will say, I think those X-Force costumes suck. I think they all look terrible.
I don't like them either.
I mean, everybody remembers Extreme X-Men, right?
Yeah.
Where they were red and black.
Those were cooler than this. These are horrible, and it's a bad drawing of Forge.
Yeah.
And
I don't love that cover, but that's also not the artist of the book. Marcus Toe is the artist of the book, so I'm okay with that. But
Marcus Toe is fine, but it's He's
Brian.
All right.
He is Brian.
He's fine.
He's
Come
fine.
on. This is
I agree. I'm with Brian here. I think Marcus Toe is fine. I don't think he's great.
He's had decent runs on fine books. This is not a premier artist for the fifth book you're launching of your big X-Men relaunch. I've got not great feelings about this stuff. And the NYX book is bizarre. And the
announcement of the NYX announcement left me completely cold. I was just I don't give a shit.
It's so corporate written, and when and by the way, it's pronounced NYX. Everybody knows that. What do you? Yeah. They spell.
How else was I gonna pronounce it?
Yeah, I didn't know I was saying that wrong.
I really am trying to wrap my head around that Laura's gonna be in Bensonhurst.
Awful costume. It's an awful costume.
That costume is so bad.
That's a horrible Wolverine.
The costume is bad.
No, the art is not great, and
I really kind of dislike the idea that Ms. Marvel is just Jersey City's fine. I'm all right.
She's
Let's move to the big
coffee.
city.
Yeah, like I don't know anyone like that at all. Like it's just so weird. There, she's sipping a coffee. I'm fine in the Lower East Side. I don't need to go back.
I mean, she's a hip. She's grown up a little bit. She's hip and cool now. Nobody wants to stay in Jersey City. Yeah, you want to move to the Lower East Side. It's great.
Been a thing in New York for years, man.
I'm as much of an apologist for this new From the Ashes era and cautiously optimistic and cheerleader for it, but I'm really, really afraid that this NYX book is going to be the fallen angels of this.
The try hard. It's the try hard book. Yeah. Oh, but no, I'm with you. Like JD, I'm with you. I think all of the other books, for the most part, have at least sounded interesting. Like the Forged thing, I'm excited for. The Phoenix one sounds like it could be fun. But this NYX, I read the description and I saw the art, and I'm like, what year do these people think it is?
Yeah.
Like, it's not 2003 anymore. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, Tom Brevoort, it might be
full of hipsters anymore.
Who time out, guys, real quick. You're telling me that senior citizen Tom Brevoort doesn't have his fingers on the pulse of the hip, cool kids of the day? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I don't know if you saw the pork pie hat. Of course he's hip. Of course he is.
Well, look, at least he's from New York. At least the dude lives in New York. You would think he would know better.
Right.
That's what I said too, and I'm a little offended.
Did you guys see the news about what they're doing with Forge in that X-Force book? They've revealed that Forge is a Omega. He's an Omega level mutant. And
he has been for a while.
Of course he would be.
Yeah. Forge has been for a while.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, there were issues like back in the day where it's like when they were in the island in San Francisco and Forge just like built this massive mutant castle overnight that could literally do anything you wanted, you know? Yeah.
Frank says if you're living in Jersey City, your goal is to move to Weehawken.
That is the truth.
The Lower East Side.
Yeah, 1,000%. Nobody leaves Jersey. I can assure you of that. Like once they're in the, they don't like leaving there.
All right, I got to get out of here. I got a hungry wife that's yelling at me, but you guys keep going.
Aaron Bird duel.
Do not mind me. Keep going. Okay, keep talking. I got to bail out of here though. All right, I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.